Saracens then, we'll move on to Saracens. Squad-wise, Jack Yendall has a little bit of a back injury, Luke Cowan-Dickey comes in. Other than that, how is the squad looking?
Pretty good. We've had boys back in full training this week who haven't been there before. Mitch Lees has done some full training now, so he's not far off. So we're kind of starting to thicken out a little bit. So Elvis, obviously, Tony's back, along with Fetivana Kola from Tonga. And so actually, as I've said, Thomas Waldron back from England and Jack Noel back from England, which, although disappointing for those two guys and for us to a degree, probably means that this is one of the strongest squads we've had available to us this season. As I said, other than Jack, who might be a little bit longer, obviously TJ's out a little bit still with his neck, and obviously we're aware of Chris Hanna's Bota's recent leg injury. Other than that, we're pretty close, and we're very pleased with how the squad are training and the quality of things we're able to put together on the training pitch.
Talked about the last few weeks being crucial to coming through this and showing what you're all about. Are you seeing that now from your side, Rob? You talked about this block being really important.
Yeah, I mean, well, obviously, we knew we'd got a good foundation in place in that first block of Premiership games, but at the same time, we were aware that if you looked at it from the outside, you'd see that he hadn't really played against too many of what you'd call the front line teams or the teams banging form. Although we'd beaten Harlequins, Harlequins hadn't forced their way into that top four, and so you could say in some quarters we had a relatively easy start. Compared to some other Premiership sides, and within that, we've been away to Newcastle and lost. So, there wasn't actually a firm indication whether we were really firing and whether we were really up there and challenging, or whether we just played okay through a decent set of fixtures. Now, there was always going to be a bigger indication in these 3 weeks. So far, we've passed a couple of tough tests with flying colours. I think, in particular, the Northampton away game. Winning at a place we hadn't won before. And in the manner we did was pleasing. Obviously, backing that up against Wasps was again very pleasing, because that's not something we've always been able to do. It's back at that big performance with what you could describe as a really good, solid, hard-working professional performance. And again, the good thing in the Premiership is that every time you win and every time you keep yourself at the right end of the table, the next game becomes an even bigger game. This game's become a huge game for us because we're second in the Premiership and we want to stay there. And what we have to make sure we do is that positive bit of pressure brings out the best of us, and it doesn't make us go, oh God, we're doing okay this year in the Premiership, aren't we, lads? Which can be human nature. What we've got to hope is that we look around as a group of players and go, I like being in second place, I'm going to fight tooth and nail to stay here. We've talked about a bit about that this week, but we'll see which way we go on Saturday.
Is it the lessons that are being learnt from last year that are really coming through now, do you feel?
It's not just last year. I mean, it doesn't really work like that. I think experience is just something over time. Now, obviously, we've got some guys who played a lot of rugby last year, young players, and it was their first season of a lot of Premiership rugby. Now, they'll have obviously gained massively, but I think as a training and playing group, these lads have been together now quite a while, and although we've lost some senior experience out of the top, which I think was probably a bigger factor last year, we are kind of maturing together over a period of time. So, even those younger guys have actually been in the training environment and knowing what we're about for a few years, and the whole thing, and we've not had a large turnover of players. Probably our largest turnover of players when players retire, and we had quite a few last year, and that will take a little bit of time to bed in, but I think you're seeing that with the introduction of one or two key players in key positions, and we've talked about guys like Tom Waldron, and those little incremental differences do add up. And the truth is, what everyone needs to remember, and I know I said it a few times at the end of last season, we lost 7 Premiership games by less than 1 score. And I think we lost 5 by 1 point. I think in 6 of those 7 we're in the lead in the second half. Well, what we needed, the little incremental boost we needed last season to have had a successful season in Premiership terms, was relatively small. And I think what's happening this year is we've come home in a few. And we've just tipped the scale the other way, and the scale has only slightly changed. It's not a huge tip. It's not like it's 2 different teams out there. It's just been that slight nudge forward, and sometimes that can be enough to get you over the line in a few games that you may have lost the year before. And that's got to be our battle. Our battle has got to maintain that and look to add another bit and another bit and another bit. And like I say, it's not about reinventing ourselves. We haven't massively changed anything we were doing last year, but we are better at it. And being better at it has just made a little bit of a difference.